explore in Bitcoin, and there are node network explorers, there are block explorers, and there are lightning explorers to all assist you in getting whatever data or metrics you're interested in. So the site I currently have up is bitnodes.io, and this lets you look up Bitcoin full nodes on the network, Bitcoin reachable full nodes, and it says that there's currently over 17,000 nodes on the network that are reachable, and that includes onion addresses, Tor nodes, as well as IPv4 and IPv6. There's a breakdown by country here. The US is always top, but Germany consistently does extremely well for the size of its population. You can see like a graphic where the nodes are concentrated. So mainly US and Europe, but certainly some clusters scattered around various other places. You can check whether your node is reachable here. You should be able to tell that using your actual node software, right? Because if other nodes aren't connecting to you, then that's a sign that you're not reachable. But you can also check here. You can put in your address and port, IP address and port, and click that check node button. I think it has a random IPv6 and address and port numbers. So I think if you just check node, it's going to take 30 seconds. So this is a good way to look up not only your node, but perhaps other nodes that you want to connect to from your full node. It does look like you can use this curl command and get the statistics from the command line rather than having to use the site. According to this, the IPv6 address that was in there by default is unreachable. But yeah, that should tell you whether your node is reachable or not. Is there anything else here to cover? I'm going to. So you can actually find a particular node. It's just an ad. You can find it. And you can find a particular node and what full node version, generally Bitcoin Core version, it's running. So here lists the IP address, the version it's running, the block height that it's currently at, which is interesting, and also the location. So a lot of people don't like these node explorers, network explorers, because a lot of people value privacy, and they think it'd be better if you couldn't look up nodes this easily. But it's a useful tool if you do want to look up nodes on the network. And if you're struggling for peers on your full node, you could pick a few random nodes, IP addresses, and try connecting to them from your full node. Breakdown by address types, IPv4, IPv6, Tor. Lists how many prune nodes. So prune nodes is when they're not a full archival node. They've verified the whole chain, but they're not storing data from old blocks, transactions. So yeah, that's the only example I know of a node explorer with like a network explorer to explore Bitcoin full nodes. Now I move to a block explorer. Now I've got two examples here. I've got Blockstream.info that runs an open source project called Explorer, and mempool.space. So these will give you information, so not on nodes this time, but on the actual state of the blockchain. So it's got the latest blocks here. This is the block height of the latest block, 7873889. You can click on that and it will give you information on all the transactions in this block. The first transaction is the Coinbase transaction that goes to the miner. But then transactions after that lists the input and the outputs of each transaction. You can click on details to get some more granular information on those transactions. So yeah, commonly these things are used, like when you've sent some Bitcoin, you might want to check whether the transaction's been confirmed or how many confirmations it's got, or that it actually got relayed and got confirmed and did actually get sent as you intended. So you can put any block height, transaction or address. Just pick a random address here. So BC1Q is an address. That's a SegWit version 0 address. So you can just put that in there. Click search, and then it will tell you the funds that address has. So there's only been one transaction to this address. And it looks like it controls an output of 0.000425 Bitcoin. So yeah, typically used to look up your own addresses, transactions. Again, there's a privacy question depending on which server you're connecting to. Here I'm connecting to the Blockstream server, mempool.space. I'm assuming I'm connected to a mempool.space server. So, I mean, you can run these kinds of projects open source on your own machines, which is better from a privacy perspective. But if you're not too worried about privacy and you just want to get the data fast without spinning something up on a server, again, these are handy tools. The Blockstream Explorer also supports Liquid, which is a side chain from the Bitcoin blockchain. So it lists all the blocks and transactions that are going on Liquid. Go back to Bitcoin. So I mean, you can say like look up the Genesis block, right? So that was the very first one. I don't know if you have to put all the zeros in, but let's see. So yeah, the very first Genesis block, I'm assuming it's block 1 of zeros. Oh no, this would be the Genesis block, block 0. And so yeah, back when Satoshi started the chain, the mining reward was 50 Bitcoin. And there weren't any transactions in this block. There was just the single transaction to the miner that presumably Satoshi was running. Yeah, so the very first block is this block 0. That's a bit stupid, didn't block 1 for the Genesis block. Okay, so that's blockstream.info. Mempool.space has similar information, but some different graphics, and it also has, which I really like, Signet and Testnet block explorer. So Signet and Testnet are for testing. The blockchains have Bitcoin on them that aren't worth anything, so it's very handy from a development or a testing perspective. And I don't think Blockstream.info supports Signet. I think it supports Testnet. Yes, So Blockstream.info supports testnet. I don't think it supports Signet. No. So that's a nice feature that mempool.space has. Mempool.space supports Signet. Signet is like a better testnet than the version of testnet that I would recommend. Bit clearer here on mempool.space on the mining pool. It's actually mined the block and received the Coinbase transaction. Let's look at some of these other icons. What do we have here? Yeah, so some breakdowns on the state of mining pools and the percentage of total hash rate that each of these mining pools has, which is quite nice. Also has some Lightning stuff. I do have a couple of Lightning Explorers coming up, so I'll probably leave Lightning unless mempool.space has any cool stuff. But it does look quite promising, the Lightning stuff on mempool.space. Some information on the state of mempools and some documentation. So yeah, similarly you can going back to the Block Explorer. So similarly you can put your transaction ID in there to look up the confirmations, similar to what I did on blockstream.info. Let's click on the last line block and just get a random transaction ID. So this is a transaction ID. Oh, that's a Coinbase. Let's look at a normal transaction. Yeah, a few labels. It's not Taproot, it's Segwit. It does support replaced by fee. Here are the inputs and the outputs. You can get the transaction hex here. So this is actually what goes on the blockchain for the transaction data. So yeah, similar to blockstream.info, but it seems to have some pretty nice graphics and features on top of what blockstream.info has. Okay, and then finally we have Lightning Network Explorers. So we've been through the Bitcoin Network Explorer, we've been through the Blockchain Explorer. This is a separate network. The Lightning Network has a different set of nodes that are all connecting to each other and communicating with each other. You can see how many Lightning nodes there are on the network, number of channels, network capacity. So the total known network capacity on the Lightning Network is 5,000 Bitcoin, which is what, $157 million. It's not bad at all. You can see new nodes that are announced, new channels that are announced. You can also see the largest capacity nodes. Async node is often either top or very close. So basically the organization or the entity or the pseudonym that has the most Bitcoin capacity locked up in Lightning channels on their Lightning nodes. Looks like River Financial have at least 2 public nodes that seem to be in the top 10 of top capacity. So yeah, again, if you're a Lightning node and you're struggling for peers or you're looking for Lightning nodes to open channels to, something like this could be useful, especially if you have a particular business or entity you want to open a channel to and they offer that service, so they'll accept your request to open a channel with them. Let's see Lightning Network trends. What have we got here? There's some stats. So yeah, a lot of data and information here that can be very handy. Again, locations, people might not like it from a privacy perspective, but again, Germany does very well on these Bitcoin technical measures. Canada seems to be doing well as well. Yep. So that's 1ml.com. Amboss.space does something very similar. Looks a bit cooler. Design looks a bit nicer than 1ml. But let's try to see if features are similar. Not sure. Let's do a change since the last time I looked at it. It's got some overall stats on capacity, channels, nodes. It does have pricing, so maybe some of the features you can only access if you pay. Let's try to get the details of a Lightning node off 1ml, and then look it up in amboss.space. So let's pick a node. Let's pick one of the big nodes. Let's pick async node because async is always up there. So here's the public key for the node. Let's try looking up the public key on amboss.space. Yeah, okay, so that's not behind a paywall, we can use that. So there is a Tor address for Declare node. So information on the node, the channels, and the peers for each of those channels that Claire has open. Look at the channel map. Let's see what this graphic looks like. It took you a while. Oh, okay. It's harder to analyze. Fee report community node history. Capacity rank is 2 currently, and channel rank is 1. So channel rank is how many channels it has open. Capacity, I'm assuming, is total capacity. Yes. So yeah, I need to get more familiar with amboss.space because it's changed a lot since I last looked at it. But it looks like you can buy some Lightning channels at a Lightning marketplace on amboss.space. But yeah, I probably shouldn't do a commentary given I'm seeing this for the first time. So yeah, to summarize, Lightning Explorers, you can look up a particular node, you can look up total stats on the number of channels on the network, on the total capacity of the network. It can help you find peers to connect to, and then potential like Lightning nodes to open channels to. I'm sure if you go to like an Async or a River Financial website, I'm sure there's information there on whether you can open channels to them and how you do that. But yeah, that is the Lightning Network. So yeah, we've been through Bitcoin Network for Bitcoin full nodes. We've gone through the Blockchain Explorer, so exploring the actual blockchain, so the data structure with transactions in that are, and mine blocks in. And then finally we've been through 2 examples of Lightning Explorers where you can study the state of the Lightning Network and help you find Lightning pairs rather than Bitcoin base layer pairs. So yeah, I'll wrap up there.